Pozdrav svima, dragi moji ljudi, i dobrodošli u 44. epizodu podcasta Only America with Mina. Ako ste prvi put na mom YouTube kanalu, nadam se da vam je ova tema interesantna i da ste zbog toga odlučili da gledate, ili ako se vraćate, hvala vam mnogo na poverenju, nadam se da ću ga opravdati. Danas imam vrlo posebnu gošću i ovaj intervju će biti na engleskom, ne zbog toga što ona ne priča srpski uopšte, već zato što je srpski nije toliko dobar. I ako ste gledali prethodnu epizodu, 43. gde smo pričali o automobilima sa Strahinjom Gostovićem, ovoga puta se nadovezujem na tu temu na neki način, budući da mi je gost, odnosno gošća, njegova supruga. Zašto? Zato što nam je Kia Gostović, iz prve ruke, slobodno mogu da kažem, rekla kako je biti 10 godina u braku sa Balkancem, odnosno sa Srbinom. I zašto je ona, uprkos tome što je živela u Evropi i uprkos njenom američkom životu i pored svih Amerikanaca ovde i drugih nacija, izabrala da se uda i da rodi decu baš jednom momku sa Balkana. Tako da ovo je njena priča, u stvari ovo je njihova ljubavna priča i dala je neke vrlo korisne i zanimljive savete kako je biti srpska snajka. Dobrodošli u 44. epizodu. I ovoga puta sa nama America E44I Iz kao prijatelj podcasta i volim što se uvek družimo i faktički kada sam počela da radim ovaj podcast, America E44I Iz je uz mene, zato što Omega ima i segment kompanije gde svi oni koji voze kamione kao ovner operatori ili kompanijski vozači mogu da budu uključeni, dakle da zarađujete novac na taj način, ili ako jeste u ovom biznisu i kupujete ili prodajete različite kamione, možete to da uradite preko Omege. Šta to znači? Ako imate vaš kamion koji je noviji, u boljem stanju i ipak želite da ga prodate, to možete definitivno da učinite preko America E44I Iz ili sa druge strane, ako se naziru neki lepši dani u ovoj industriji, onda vaš kamion, prikolicu ili bilo šta od opreme možete da kupite preko Omege. Vrlo su transparentni, vrlo su otvoreni, vrlo su pouzdani i definitivno je jedino mesto u Americi, ako želite na pravi, ispravan i legalan način, naravno, da kupite kamion koji ćete dugo da koristite. Kao što ćete moći da vidite, za vreme snimanja ovog podcasta, prijatelj podcasta jeste Skadarlija, restoran koji skoro 10 godina uspešno posluje na teritoriji Chicago-landa, kako vole ovde da kažu, zato što imaju super hranu, tradicionalnu balkansku, zato što imaju dobru muziku, zato što je atmosfera dobra, a samim tim gde ćete više razloga da se i naši ljudi, i Amerikanci, i ne Balkanci dobro provedu i zabave na jednom tipičnom balkanskom mestu. Tako da hranu možete da poručite i preko aplikacije i da vam stigne na kuću. Sve što želite da jedete u pitanju su tradicionalni balkanski specijaliteti. Isto tako vikendom je sjajna muzika ili ovako ako želite neki doručak, kakav možete da jedete samo na Balkanu, ili ručak ili večeru, to svakako možete da uradite u Skadarliji, tako da sigurno jeste pravo mesto gde sve prijatelje možete da okupite i da vidite dobro poznata lica. Kada govorimo o hrani, vidjet ćete u ovoj epizodi o čemu smo sve pričali i naravno moja gošća je prošle nedelje imala priliku da proba i odličan burek iz European Food Factory, kompanije koja već dugo godina za redom pravi tradicionalnu balkansku hranu. I naravno da se ovde među našim ljudima mnoge stvari vrte oko kamiona i oko hrane, pa tako zahvaljujući European Food Factory-u možemo da uživamo u sjajnom bureku i sjajnom jogurtu za početak. Mi smo ga probali i u ovoj epizodi ponovo, pošto se dobija od mleka koje je proizvedeno kod Amiša. Ja bih stvarno podvukla njihov fenomenalan burek koji ima 85% punjenja, naravno različiti ukusi, meso, sir ili ako želite, ako ste vegetarijanac i želite nešto malo drugačije da probate, ili vegan, pa želite nešto drugačije da probate, a isto tako ako uživate u slatkišima, tradicionalnim, balkanskim, to možete da učinite ne samo u Michiganu gde su bazirani i gde ih ima na 2 lokacije, već i ovde u Chicagu. I u opisu ovog videa vidjet ćete naravno koje su sve mesta i prodavnice gde možete da ih probate. Zahvalila bih se naravno i mojim prijateljima iz Estetika House of Beauty koji se nalazi blizu centra Čikaga i ako želite da učinite nešto lepe za svoje lice, telo, obrve, nokte, šminku, to definitivno možete da učinite kod njih. Gde god da živite u Čikagu, verujte mi da je vredno puta i putovanja, gde god da se nalazite, koliko god blizu ili daleko, da učinite tako nešto korisno i dobro za svoje lice i telo. Dakle, profesionalna šminka, masaža lica, masaža tela, sređivanje obrva, sređivanje noktiju i naravno različiti tretmani posle kojih ćete se definitivno osjećati bolje. Ja bih još rekla da odlično rade, pošto su sve Evropljani i Evropljanke i onda je nešto što je tipično i tradicionalno za nas i ne morate mnogo da objašnjavate šta želite, pošto oni uglavnom znaju šta i kako mi hoćemo i na šta smo navikli. I dodala bih da odlično rade nadogradnju trepavica, što je vrlo popularno, ali ne mora da deluje ni veštački, ni ružno, već može da bude vrlo prirodno, u ostalom kao i svi tretmani u Estetika House of Beauty. I do kraja juna dobijete 20% popusta ako iskoristite kod MINA20, tako da ću ostaviti u opisu ovog videa gde se nalaze, blizu su, gde god u stvari da ste u Čikagu, oni su blizu i dobijate 20% popusta na sve usluge u junu. The beginning first, how do you feel over there in that chair? Nervous, not nervous?
No, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
I mean, like if you want to do like a YouTube project by yourself, right? Then you need to get used to this.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Like, Sakinya, your husband, so the thing is, when he, like, who watch, and I hope there's like a people who actually watch and still watching podcasts, when he was a guest, so he told me and he mentioned that, like, I asked him, what do you think, like, do you know, like, any person who would be, like, a good guest, like, in this podcast, or give me, like, a referral, what do you think?
Yeah.
And he told me, like, his wife, Kia. Okay, so Kia, welcome. And
Thank you.
like, it's good to be like, I guess, what do you feel when I tell you like srpska snajka? You know, how does that feel? People call you like that, right?
Yeah.
Because you're married to Strahinja.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like it's different from, I guess, how we do it in the U.S., where I would be, you know, someone's sister-in-law or, you know, daughter-in-law. It's like, I'm just Snaika. Everyone calls me Snaika. So it's nice. It's, you know, a nice, endearing term and makes me feel important.
And I assume that you watched like that episode when he was a guest. So what do you think? How was that? How was he?
Yeah, well, it's all in Serbian.
Okay, so did you understand? I assume that you did understand something, right?
Yeah. So I understood like bits and pieces of it. But I mean, he's very good at his job, so he's very knowledgeable, and you know, it was great for him to just be able to talk about his job and what he does, and really just to be able to help other Serbians that may be in the market for a car and understand the do's and don'ts of it.
You're in real estate, right?
Yeah, I'm a loan officer for rate.
Okay, so how does that work? I mean, is it like 9 to 5, you work from home, or how's that?
Yeah, so I work from home. Hours can vary. I mean, yes, there's like a typical kind of like 8:30 to 5:30, but it's really just the needs of the business. Sometimes I work on weekends, sometimes I'm working later. So, you know, people are always going under contract and looking to buy a house, so I have to try and be available as much as possible.
Let me ask you, like, while I have you here, like in that chair, how's market like right now, and how's everything going in real estate?
Yeah. So
is it a good moment to purchase a house or a
there's
property?
never a bad time to purchase a house, okay? Because at the end of the day, real estate is always going to be a stable investment. There's always ebbs and flows to the business. Rates are high right now, but it's never a bad time to invest in real estate, because what we know is that the market, you know, housing prices have continually gone up year after year after year. So buying now to be able to build that equity over the next 5-10 years is always going to be a good, sound investment.
Okay. And like while working, since you work like from home, you have Strahinja's mother, like helping, supporting.
Godsend. Right? Yep, we love her.
it's easier for you, right? Because like you have like 2 kids.
Yes.
So tell me more about that.
Yeah, so Luca Nikolai, Nico is, we call him Nico for short. He's 4.5, and then Luca is 6.5. So Luca is going into 1st grade, and Nico will be going into kindergarten. So when they're in school, you know, Bobina has time to kind of do things around the house and have her own time, but obviously when they're out of school, she's watching them, and because sometimes I have to work later, she's there to take care of them, which is amazing.
That's cool. So she was over there, helped you like learn a little bit like more Serbian language and like with kids as well. But like people in general, like in Serbia, when you would say to like Srpska snajka that she needs to live under one roof with her like husband's mother, you know, that's not always well and nice. But like you don't have that like experience, right? She helps you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in general.
Yeah,
and you have good relationship, right?
Yes, we do. I think it's definitely more common in Serbia to have grandmothers, you know, that live with you and help out. It's common in the U.S., but not so much as like a live-in grandparents and things like that. So I know when I was pregnant with Luca, and I was talking to one of my coworkers, and I said, well, you know, probably going to have my mother-in-law come and stay with us. And she's like, oof, don't do that. And I was like, why? She's like, that's not a good idea. But it's different. It's different in Serbia. And for us, it really works. And she's been a great addition to our family. So.
But like, I think it's mutual, because like Strahinja, he showed me the text message that he sent to your mother for Mother's Day.
Yeah.
So, you know, the feelings are like mutual and same, because he has like the same respect and love for your mother. So that's like really nice. So tell me, we're gonna start pretty much from the beginning. How does it feel like you as American to be like married to a Serbian guy, like Balkan guy?
Yeah, so I never dated a Serbian guy until Strahinja. So I had no expectations. I didn't know, you know, what it would be, but it's been great. We've been together for nearly 10 years, and we've got 2 kids together. So, yeah, I mean, I learn every year, right? I'm learning every year more and more about his culture, and for me, it's just been a blessing.
Did you watch in podcast how he explained the way you guys met?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me, was it just like that, or?
So yeah, so we met through mutual friends.
But he noticed you like first, right?
Yes, yes. So he noticed me so his best friend Goran, at the time, his wife was one of my managers at the store that I worked at, and so he saw me on her Facebook, and he's like, "Oh, who's this?" And she's like, "Oh, that's my boss." And he's like, "Okay, introduce me." And she was like, No, like, she's older than you, like, she's, you know, like, she would not be interested in you. So he didn't really kind of get introduced, I guess, how he was hoping. So he just decided to send me a message through Facebook, and he also went into my store a couple of times. Well, I wasn't there. I wasn't working at the time. But yeah, so, you know, he messaged me on Facebook, and then I, you know, messaged him back, and I was like, "Oh, you know, hi." He's like, "Oh, I'm Lindsay's friend. She probably told you about me." And so we just started chit-chatting a little bit on Facebook, and then decided to go on a date from there.
And why did you decide to like reply on that first text message? Actual message that he sent on Facebook?
Well, so I did go through his Facebook a little bit. I knew, you know, I knew he was Lindsay's friend, and I had met Lindsay's husband at the time, Goran, so I knew he was a good guy. And then I just kind of looked through some photos. I said, okay, he's cute, so, you know, what have I got to lose?
Yeah, it turned out to be like a good decision, right?
Yes.
And so I'm not sure if you know, like if you're like familiar with that. His name in Serbian means like fearless.
Yes.
So obviously he showed that, right?
Yeah.
He had no fear.
Yeah.
How was that first date? Where did you guys go?
Yeah, so
And was that his suggestion, or
it was his suggestion.
So he knew what he was doing, right?
Yeah, I was very impressed. So, because I had been very much like on the dating scene, I guess you could say. Like I was like, I'm trying to find a husband.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be honest, right? And so at that point in my dating journey, I had kind of cut out dinner dates, right? I was just like, as a first date, I was like, we can do coffee, we can do a drink, but I don't want to commit to a dinner because that's like 2+ hours. And if I am not feeling that guy, I do not want to be there for 2+ hours. But I went against my instincts on that one. And he's like, let's do dinner. And I was like, oof, okay. But then we went to Cafe Barbariba in Chicago, which I'd been there a couple of times before. So I knew that I liked it. But he also like asked questions before. He was like, is there any food that you don't like? You know, so.
Any food allergies or something?
Yeah, exactly. So you know, I committed to a dinner, which I knew was going to be at least 2 hours. So I was like, oh, I hope. And we had never talked on the phone at that point, so I didn't know how his English was going to be. I hadn't met him in person at that point. So yeah, he picked me up, and we went to Cafe Barbariba, and it was a great dinner. We talked for hours and talked. My goal, because at this point I knew how old he was. He was 22 at the time, and so. And
you were 30,
and
right?
I was 30, and so my goal was like, okay, I'm gonna have a free dinner. And I'm just gonna like scare the crap out of this guy and tell him like, this is what I want to do in the next 5 years. Like, hey, I want to get married, I want to have kids, da 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 da. And so that's what I did. And he was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, okay, kid. So yeah, it was a good first date. And I remember because we had talked about like, he's like, oh, what's like your Starbucks drink? Like, what do you like to drink?
Wow, he really asked you those questions.
Yeah.
That's super nice.
Yeah, so then the next day he showed up at my work with Starbucks for me with, the drink that I like, which was really sweet, right? Like very, just him asking those questions and retaining that information and then actually, following up on it and doing it. I've never had a guy do that before, and I was kind of freaked out by it because I was like, one of my my associates was like, hey, there's some guy out there that's looking for you, and I was just like, what? But it was nice.
That's so nice. Like he was really into that, and he really wanted to leave like a good first impression. But like the important thing is like his words were matching his deeds. It's not just that like empty words that he was saying. So that's like the most important. And what are like other topics that you guys discussed? They are pretty much like typical American topics that you actually talked on the first date, besides that you said because you wanted to actually scare him?
Yeah. I think...
Or it's not like the first date, like time and place when you talk about like some super important like things.
Yeah, I think most of the time on a first date, I'm not telling someone, hey, I would like to be married and have kids and do all of these things in like this time frame. You really just kind of are getting to know them and we talked about our families and, kind of what that dynamic looked like. But it was really just, I think the conversation flowed. His English was really good, and I was pleasantly surprised by that because he had only been here for a few years at the time. And he's very intelligent. I was like, I couldn't believe that he was only 22. I was just like, this is this is weird. You don't sound like you're 22. You don't act like you're 22. So, it was great.
I hope like one guy won't watch this, but like when I just like moved from Serbia to United States, okay, there was a guy who asked me like 10 times to like go out with him, and he flew from Georgia to Chicago just for a date, okay, and we went to some place like in downtown, like rooftop, okay, and he's from Montenegro, and they're like super like traditional, you know, and like all the way, you know, in that way. So, and he his third sentence was like, I want to go back I want to meet my wife here, and I want to take her back to Montenegro, and I want to raise my kids like over there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I went to the restroom and I never came back. And he needed to fly back to Georgia, you know, and I never like answered him. Come on, I just came to United States, and like your third sentence is that you want to take me back to Montenegro. Yeah. Like potentially, I don't want to. So let's not talk about that. So I apologize. my first apology. So I know what you're saying. So he did scare out of me, but you didn't like scare Strahinja.
Yeah, that was my goal. But yeah,
that's cool. And if you can compare like American guys that you've been dating until that moment, what's the difference? Why you were 30 and why? I mean, is it like a destiny, or what was the reason that you haven't met?
It had to have been destiny. but yeah, I think with American guys, or at least at the time, like just. Oh gosh.
Or you don't remember. You don't remember.
No, I mean, just like immature, not serious, not, you know, really looking at like the next 5 years or, you know, in the future, like what they want. It was just kind of like, everything was just like, let's see how it goes. I was very much at the point of my life where I was like, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste your time. So let's figure this out fairly quickly if this is going to go anywhere, you know? And so for me, that meant asking and talking about the important things fairly quickly to figure out, okay, is this something that we want to pursue or not? And I felt like with American guys, they weren't very direct. They, you know, it was kind of like, oh, I'm doing this, and, you know, maybe this is what I want to have going on in the next, just like fluff, you know?
Yeah, it's like still exploring, want to try like everything. They don't want to commit like general.
Yeah.
And I do understand. And tell me, like, I met Strahinja and now I met you. Do you guys ever like argue? Because it doesn't seem, you know, but like probably like everyone does. So is that like in Serbian? Is that like, does he like say something in Serbian or like in English? Or how does that work?
Yeah. We do argue. I wouldn't say we argue a ton, but when we do, we try and like figure out like from each person's point of view, you know, and come to, I guess, some sort of middle ground, or whether it's, hey, I understand your point of view and you're right, or I understand your point of view and, you know, I still disagree, but like, how can we like move past this? And like, we just don't ever let things just go and stay mad at each other or be resentful, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we can keep a healthy and communicative relationship, and that's, we have to talk through the things that are bothering us, or talk through the things that, you know, we maybe he doesn't understand or I don't agree with. We talk it out till we figure it out.
He told me that sometimes he has issues like finding the right word in English, and then you tell him, it's not that one. It's this word that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes. It happens. It happens. I mean, obviously English is not his first language. And I think that's just one thing that I've kind of understood from the beginning, you know, being patient and you know, because I lived in other countries and I've been used to different cultures and different ethnicities and different languages, you know, understanding that just because somebody says something, you know, and if English isn't their first language, they may not have said it how they wanted it, you know, to come off. So.
Yeah. Oh, like I feel that, yeah. And you've been living in Paris and London for like 4 years. Do you think that that made an impact? You know, because like obviously you're not like typical American like girl, lady, woman. You don't raise your kids like what I see here, like American like moms that do in general. So does that made any impact on your life now, like traveling and living in Europe?
Yeah, definitely. I think just opened my eyes to so many things outside of the US and being able to see how other cultures live and, you know, how they raise their kids. All of that's kind of, I think, really helped me in my relationship with Strahinja because I've been outside of my comfort zone and I know what it was like to move to a country where I didn't speak the language. And so I get how that was for him coming to the US. And so for me, it's just being a lot more compassionate and understanding and forgiving. But yeah.
And he told me the way how it was when he met your parents.
Yeah.
And there was some side talk, right? So how was that? Were you nervous, or like what was the period after which you decided to meet him with your parents?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Or
for
was
sure.
that like a secret, or you know you were just like straight up and you told them, hey guys, I have like.
I told him, yeah. So he came over. The first time he met all of my family was for Thanksgiving.
You have 2 sisters, right?
I have two older sisters who were both married and had kids at the time. So I'm the youngest. You know, everyone was like waiting on me to find a man, right? And you know, my sister was like, you can't be picky. You just need to choose somebody. I was like, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. But no, so, and I had never brought a guy home for really any holiday. And so I chose Thanksgiving. And we had just met the month prior. So we'd literally only been dating for a month at that point. And I was like, hey guys, I'm bringing somebody for Thanksgiving. And they, you know, my mom and my sisters like had these like side texts about like, oh my gosh, Kia's bringing somebody home for Thanksgiving. It must be serious. She's never brought somebody home before. So I think they were very anxious to meet him because they knew like it's got to be serious, right? Like she's never done this before. So I was like, the pressure is on for him and me to make a good impression, you know, because obviously I want to make sure that my family likes him. And I knew that, you know, they were definitely going to have questions about his age and, you know, is he just like here to get a green card or something like that, you know, it wasn't the case. But obviously questions like that just come up naturally. So.
Did you think at any point that he wanted to date you just because like of the green card or something like that? Or you were like mature enough and grown up person realizing that was like a real love even at that point?
I honestly, and it's probably silly to say or I don't know if you would say silly or dumb or crazy, but I didn't think that. He never gave me the impression of like, first of all, I am not the one. So I knew myself well enough that like I wouldn't fall for something like that. So yeah, for me, it wasn't a thought. It was very much, you know, us falling in love and it was real. And obviously we had those conversations really early on, you know, about like, okay, what does that look like if you know, once your status changes and you're supposed to go back, you know, what do we do? What are the next steps? Like, are we going to be ready to get married at that point? So it's definitely, you know, those conversations that probably wouldn't happen in a relationship, you know, until like months and months down the road. We had that within the first, I want to say like 2 months.
But he told me that was the way that you think because you like to plan and pre-plan and you want to know what your expectations are like, and that's why you probably ask him. So he literally told me, so if he stays longer, like if he like I don't know, whatever the situation is with his like status in the United States, how does that impact to your like relationship? So you're the one who mentioned those questions as well, and you're the one who wanted to know that, which is like really, really nice. And is it true that you met his mother like on your wedding day? Yeah.
Yes. So we got married in Santorini, Greece, which is very beautiful, and it was kind of just like a good meeting point for like his family. It was, a fairly short trip for them to come over from Serbia, and then my family had flown to Santorini, and so that was, I had obviously seen Bobana on FaceTime, and we'd chit-chatted before, but it was obviously the first time that we'd met in person. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but all good.
Like wedding day plus meeting his mother, that's like a lot.
Yeah.
Plus Greece, and everything, like I can imagine, like really emotional. So you had your family, like your sisters and parents coming in, I mean with their families, right? So that was nice. And how did he propose?
So he proposed, so it was really nice because my whole family was there. We all went to the pumpkin farm. And so it was my sister and her children, and then one of my other sister and her husband and her kids. So the kids got to be involved too, so they were running around. And then he had my dad and my brother-in-law had a sign that said, "Kia, will you marry me?" And I didn't see the sign at first. He just got down on one knee, and then like all these people started like looking, and I was like, oh my gosh. But that it was really cute because it was in the pumpkin patch, and my niece and nephews were running around, and he had planned it all out, and it was great because my family was there too. So.
Yeah, you were not alone. And that was like a year after you met or so, right? Did you give him some, like, when you met or after those like first conversations, did you give him some like time frame or period of time, like for dating, and then like that you wouldn't break, or?
I think.
Or that was just like spontaneous?
No. I don't think I gave him like a timeline of when I thought like he had to propose to me, but I think we moved in together really quickly. We moved in together after 3 months of knowing each other. So that was probably like a bigger deal, right? Because I told him I've never lived with a guy before. I was like, if we are doing this, like we are getting married. Like this is, and it wasn't like there was a time frame on when we needed to get married, but it was definitely like, I'm moving in with you. We're moving in together because the goal is that we are getting married. So I think that was like a big step. And then naturally, as we got to know each other more and live together and really understand kind of our backgrounds and how we were raised and what we wanted for the future, then it was naturally just the next step. We got engaged after a year.
Was there any like exact moment? This is like the advice for each and every girl like watching this. Was there any moment that you exactly knew that he was the one, or how does that go? Or it's just like situation after situation that he was proving himself and you were proving yourself as well in his eyes? Yeah,
I don't know. It just happened really quickly with us. It's kind of one of those things where you dream about what it's going to be like when you find your future husband and how you guys fall in love. And I was like, I hope I just know. I hope when I find the one, it clicks. And it did, and it was very quick. I said, I love you after 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, this all happened so quickly. And so I think, our relationship progressed very fast. And I think I attribute that to his intelligence and his maturity level, and just the conversations, the deep conversations that we had early on to really say, are we compatible? Can we make this work? is this something that we both want? And the answer was yes.
Like living together, have you noticed some things that are like typical for, like not typical for American, that you can like link to like Balkan mentality and the way that like we live? You know, just like I know that you haven't visited like Balkan countries or Serbia before you met him, but like, is there something that you know or like assume he's doing this because he's from Balkan or from Serbia? Or he's like totally not typical Balkan man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was, he's very direct. So I feel like that was like a little bit different than American guys, and he has a good core group of guy friends, Serbian guy friends, that what I loved was that they're all just so like helpful and just very welcoming, and wanted to, like, when we moved in together, he was like, all right, I got guys. We don't need to hire a moving truck or anything like that. I got guys. I'll buy them pizza and beer and we'll be good. And he's just, you know, and he took care of it, you know? So I was just like, I liked that I was like, oh my God, you're so young. What do you, and he just took initiative and just took control. So I think those were kind of things that I was like pleasantly surprised with.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, because like American guy, like, or let's start from like Serbian guy or Balkan guy, he would say like directly, I don't like you, you know, like you're not my type, whatever the thing is, or like we're not gonna proceed with this, like stop. And like American guy would be like, you're nice, but they always, you know, you never know what
they leave you in limbo. You're
like
not
non-stop,
really sure.
like non-stop. Sometimes, like talking to American people, like 4 days later, I have no clue what the point was. If I'm like here or there, I can just, you know, like not put it together. But yeah, I know what you're saying. So yeah, maybe we're like too like direct. I understand.
I like that though. I like that. I like knowing, you know, where I stand and what he wants and what he likes and what he doesn't like. I was like, this is what I need. I don't need a guy, you know, kind of like, oh, maybe not. Like, no, this is
so that's good if like when you decide, especially like when you have kids together and like raising kids, that's like really important. From what I know, you don't like raise them as like typical American like family. What I see here, you know, kids like dress what they want, you know, like they eat what they want, they watch what they want, like in general. And he told me that you don't let your kids do that.
Yeah.
So there's like a bit of like Balkan discipline in your household, or I mean, that's something that you guys both agree on.
Yeah, I think not only just like kind of like a Balkan or traditional how he was raised, but also how I was raised too. I didn't come from a very strict household, but I came from a household that, you know, had rules, and we couldn't do whatever we wanted, and we had, you know, curfews and things like that. And I think it's changed so much from how I grew up to how kids in America grow up nowadays. And what I knew is that I liked how I grew up. I liked that there was discipline and there was rules, but it was still fun, you know? And so I wanted that for my kids. I was like, I'm not going to be making 3 or 4 different dinners. I said, they're gonna eat what I cook. That's that. So my kids eat everything. They're such good eaters. They have a variety of foods. So, you know, vegetables and fruit and meat and cheese, and they're all the things, they eat it all. And it's just like, and then they're thankful. They're like, thank you so much for dinner, Mommy. And we eat together. And it's just, it feels more like how he grew up and how I grew up. And it's what we agreed on, and we continue to do that.
I have one more question about like parenting nowadays. Do you think that, or are you able to apply all the rules, or like most of the rules that you respected as you were a kid, like towards your kids now?
Yeah, yeah. I think we do a good job of disciplining them and giving them choices, but limited choices, right? Say, like we don't just let them wear whatever they want to wear, We say, okay, do you want to wear this shirt or this shirt? So we give them a choice, but it's still within the confines of what we want it to be, and just for them to be able to go out to dinner and be respectful and be quiet and not sit there on a tablet or playing on a phone. They can be a part of the conversation. Like, that's an important social skill to have. And I feel like nowadays there's a lot of American kids that aren't really getting that, right? Because they go out to dinner and they're just on their iPads or being crazy and running around the restaurant. So we try and just make sure that they behave. Obviously they're kids, we understand that. They're not always good. They have their days, but but we make sure that we have that discipline to where they understand, hey, this is what's expected of you, within their age range,
It was like really cute when I met. I'm not sure if it was younger or like older today, but he was like, I approached him in Serbian and he like responded in Serbian, how old are you? What's your name? So they're, I'm not sure like fluent, but they do understand everything. So that's like really nice. Probably because you have your mother-in-law here and Strahinja, obviously, but you do understand like Serbian as well. And you mentioned like the food that you cook. So you prepare food at home, right? Any Serbian dishes there?
Yeah, I can do sarma. I do it a little bit differently.
Pay attention on this, okay? So she can make sarma, okay?
Yes, yeah. So I can make sarma. I can do palachinke. Grilling foods, right? So cevapi we'll do, but yeah, and I like it all, and the boys eat it all. So suvo meso, we like it all.
That's nice. Okay, so you do like suvo meso. I know that you tasted burek like a couple of days ago when that was actually like a present, big gift. Yeah, I'm gonna have you actually. I'm gonna have you try this yogurt. Maybe you're not like a fan. Maybe you are, but this is actually from Amish milk. So they get milk from Amish people in Wisconsin. In Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, and they make it like using this. So I'm gonna have you try so you refresh yourself.
Okay.
What else I wanted to ask you, Kia? So you do prepare food, like Serbian food, and is there like any like American dish or type of food that Strahinja likes to eat that he just likes the way that you prepare?
American food?
Yes.
He's not picky, which is nice. So he'll eat mostly anything I cook. He doesn't like pork chops for some reason, so I don't really end up cooking pork chops anymore. But yeah, because I'll do a variety of things, right? I'll do Asian-inspired dishes. I'll do Mexican-inspired dishes. So he likes it all.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. Because like a lot of like people from Balkan men, they compare like their wives' cooking skills and like their mother's cooking skills.
Yeah.
That's like a big deal over there. I'm a
pretty good cook, so.
And he has like under one roof his mother and his wife, so it's easier for him.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, and it's like kind of a game.
Okay.
And you're gonna like respond with like true or false.
Okay.
And it's gonna be about like Balkan people that that you've met, and especially like your husband. So tell me, like from your point of view, is that like true or false?
Got it.
So people from Serbia are like traditional but adoptable.
True.
Okay. Proud but sensitive.
True.
Okay. Street smart.
True.
Protective and jealous in a relationship.
True.
Okay. proud of appearance?
True. Yes, at least for sure the women. I think the men to a certain degree. It depends. Sometimes they're just fine in their tracksuits.
But they're better like than American people, like American men, right? Maybe not like people from, like men from Paris, for sure, and London, for sure, but okay.
Yeah.
And strong opinions on politics and history.
Yeah, true. Yes, yes, very proud.
Okay, so like all those things are true about us, and I was wondering, if that's like true or not. So it is. They're like mama sons, yes or no? I mean, maybe it's hard for you to answer.
I guess yes, but not to the degree I think that where it's like detrimental, or I feel like he, would agree with his mom over me or things like that. So I don't, yes, to a certain extent. But.
Okay. So you do listen like Serbian music as well, right?
Yeah.
You have any specific singer that you like?
So I think I probably first started listening to Serbian music, and it was with Rasta.
Okay.
And I like fell in love, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's great. And we actually saw Rasta when he came to Chicago. This was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. Okay. Oh, it's 8 or 9 years ago. And then so I like Rasta, Voyage, Braskita.
You met Braskita as well, right?
Yes.
You took a picture with her.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, it's I mean it's
Nicolia.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah. So I just find myself just in the car by myself, listening to Serbian music.
You follow like his instructions? Does he like recommend something, or it's just you like to explore?
A little bit of both. What's great about like Spotify, you can do like a radio station for like a specific artist. Like you can do Rasta, and then it'll be like different Serbian artists. So then I'll find new music that way. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you know some songs? Do you sing, or you just like to listen and you like the rhythm?
Some I do actually know a few Rasta songs that
Are you gonna share with us which one, or?
I mean, they're like older ones, like Indigo.
Okay.
I know that song fairly well.
Hotel. Is that his song?
Oh, Hotel. Yeah.
Okay.
Voyage. Yeah, I know a couple of songs. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Did you watch, since you like Nicolia and Relja, did you see like their new video?
Oh, yeah. My husband showed it to me. It's interesting.
Too much, or? I mean, even like for America, would you say like, or like for everything that you've
seen
so
anything
far?
everywhere, yes, too much, too much, for sure.
I'm glad I heard like your opinion. So, after what period of time you went to Serbia?
So
and how many times you've been there?
So I've been there 3 times now. So we went when we got married in Santorini. We flew to Serbia after that. So that was the first time that I had met his grandma and his dad and his uncle and his aunts. So that was, just all his family and best friends. It was the first time that I met them. So that was nice. Yeah. And then we went back just before COVID, when Luca was 14 months old. And I was newly pregnant with Nikolai at that time, but that was Luca's first trip to Serbia, so that was good as well. And then we just went back last summer for my sister-in-law Vanya's wedding.
And who picked names for your kids? You?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, both of them. So. Yeah, first and middle names, which like middle names aren't a thing in Serbia, but it is in the U.S. And so I wanted them to have middle names. But yeah, I wanted them to have like some, not necessarily that they had to be Serbian names, but I wanted it to be either a middle name or something that was Serbian.
So what are their full names?
So it's Luka Richard Gostović, and Richard is from my side of the family, from my grandfather on my mom's side. And then it's Nikolai Vuk Gostović.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's cool.
And I also picked Vuk.
Why did you pick Vuk?
Because it means wolf, and it just, for me, I was like, this, it felt like a strong, and his first name is a little bit longer, so I wanted something, and the middle name to be a little bit shorter, so it's short and powerful, and he definitely embodies Vuk, and he loves it.
It's easy for you as well to create like a password or like a Gmail account, like you're probably, because your first name and last name now are unique, it's just one, like Kia Gostović, right?
Yeah,
so
right?
It's basically super easy for you and super simple. And what are the things that you liked over there visiting Serbia?
I just really...
Did you have like that cultural shock? You went to Paris, you went to London, and then you go, with all due respect, to Nove Pazove or Novi Sad, no differences. How was that for you?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously there's a language barrier, but I think genuinely people were welcoming and curious. And so, I definitely would get stares. But I enjoyed just kind of like the slow pace of things and the community vibe, right? It felt like just everyone's kind of helping each other out or knows each other, and the food and just the localness of everything, right? Like it was just like, oh, this was made right here, or we got this in our backyard. That's just like not really heard of or normal in the U.S.
Yeah.
Everything is coming from very far away. So
he told me, Strahinja, that like in local store, like ladies who work there, they wanted to take pictures with your kids. So it's just, like cute but strange, but I totally understand.
Yeah, they're they love their hair because their hair is very curly. So they're like wanting to touch the hair and just, oh my gosh, Lakita, so cute.
I can only imagine like first time them seeing, like African American in Nove Pazove or Stara Pazove. That's like really crazy. Would you ever be able to like picture yourself living in Serbia? Or I totally know that like Strahinja considered this like your home. Obviously, he's been here for like 10-ish years plus. You were like born here. So would you ever picture yourself living over there, and under which circumstances?
Yeah, I mean, because I've lived other places, I could definitely see us living in Serbia. I think definitely some things would have to change before we would consider that, but yeah, I think it would be great for him, for the kids to be around their other side of the family and grow up similar to how he grew up. It's there's a lot of things in the U.S. that I don't love right now. I would love for them to be at a school that I felt they were safe and they could walk to school and just know that like there wasn't really the dangers that you can encounter here. That's something that would really help ease my mind and be very open to doing.
But do you think that you can still do here those same things to do here in the United States, to raise them like properly?
To a certain degree, I think one thing that Strahinja talks about and says that he misses is that community and that neighborhood kind of feel, and that's kind of how I grew up too. Like I knew everybody on my block. I played with all the kids. We were all friends. We looked out for each other. It's not like that. So I'm sure there are places that it's still like that, but at least where we're at, it's not that community, small town vibe.
And connected,
Yeah, to where it's like, hey mom, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to go play with Marco or, whoever. And just, they're like, okay, cool. Bye. Just make sure you're back before the street lights come on. So,
yeah. And like, I didn't ask you that, but I really want to know what are some things that like American guys discuss with girls like on the first dates. So before it starts actually like
getting serious.
Yes, getting serious.
What's
or
your
explosive.
favorite color?
They're not like that, like direct, like trying to know like financial goals or like living goals or like family planning and things like that. Or yes, how soon they start with those questions? If it's like a date between like American guy and probably like American girl.
Yeah. I think.
Is it some early stages or like later on?
Some of the stuff. I feel like with American culture, a lot of our identities are wrapped up in our jobs and what we do for a living. So I feel like that's usually a very early topic that you talk about. Like, what do you do for work? And how much, not necessarily how much money you make, but like, depending on what that answers, you will maybe understand like how much they potentially do make or what they are, what is their growth potential. It's really, work, job, financial kind of focused. And then you talk a little bit about the family too, but I think it's all very surface level for a good amount of time. So I think it was different with Strahinja because we just got deeper quicker and we just asked those questions. And
just straight up. Yeah. Okay, and is it like rude to ask an American person here how much money are you making or, some political points of view or...
Well, I think nowadays it's probably very important to understand their political views because I feel like it's two very different political parties.
Would it be rude now if I ask you what's your like political opinion, or how much money do you make? Or do I need to get to know you much better?
Yeah. I think you would have to know me a little bit more. And I think in the political, you might not say it directly like that. You won't say like what's your
wrap it up.
Yeah, you'll pick like a topic of like, okay, so what do you think about this? And then depending on how I answer, you'll kind of understand where my views may lie.
Among us, that's like second question, like or like about sports, politics, and how much money do you make? That's like a third question, like when you meet someone. So that's like strange. You speak Serbian. You do understand Serbian. I mean, probably you're not like completely fluent.
No.
Right? No reason for that. But like, are there any situations when you actually talk to your kids in Serbian?
Yes, usually when I'm yelling at them.
So you yell in Serbian, huh?
Yes.
You give commands.
Commands, yes, okay. Yes. So, when I'm telling them to go put on their PJs or wash their hands or...
How you do that?
What do I say? If I'm like, oh gosh, now I'm like blanking on it.
Okreni, you said like okreni dupe.
Oh, okreni dupe with their, being bad. Just like little commands.
Sedi.
Yeah, like sedi dole. Dođi vamo. I always say it when I'm like angry. I don't know why.
It just like sounds like more tougher and then like a little bit more rough when you say it in Serbian. Then come over here, please. Can you please come over here?
Yes, exactly.
I would like to tell you something. Yeah, in Serbian it's not like that.
Yeah.
And you know what slava is? You do know like some like meaning of some Serbian like words or things that we celebrate like in Serbia. So I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
What is Slava?
So Slava is our patron saints day. So ours is Sveti Nikola. So that's celebrated every December 19th. And that's when we will have žito and česnica and different Serbian foods. and family and friends will come over. We go to church and we get the bread blessed and our žito blessed. But yeah, it's a celebration.
Bravo, Kia. Bravo, bravo. And what is žito?
Žito is wheat. That's usually like sweetened with fruit and nuts. And it's supposed to represent like the eternity and the resurrection. And okay.
Yeah, that's good. Like 2 of 3. And like the third question is, do you know what Christian Orthodox or like Serbian people say when they celebrate Božić?
Yes, Christos rodi.
Bravo, 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 bravo. Vaistinu se rodi. Bravo, bravo, bravo. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay,
you were
okay.
good. You were good. You were good. You passed the test. How was this experience today? Like for you?
This was great. Yes.
You were more relaxed than Strahinja, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe in the beginning you were like a little bit tight, but like later on when we started talking about like dating scene, like these days, you know, like I saw that like relief because you're married now. So it's easy
Yeah.
for
I
you.
can talk about it. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay,
It's
cool.
fine.
So are you planning to visit Serbia sometime soon?
Most likely next year. We try and go like at least every other year. So this is an off year, but yeah, we'll probably look at going next summer.
Strahinja also told me that you didn't like in Serbia the fact because like there's no like roads like everywhere, you know, which is, you know, like there's no asphalt everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's just European countries in general, right? Like it's just small roads, small cars. I mean, you know, everything's old. It's not like America. America's still a very young country in a lot of respects. So we have big roads and we have big cars.
I understand.
And lots of elevators. So
do you like meet or have some gatherings with Serbian friends, or do you
all the
have
time.
some Serbian friends with you?
Yes, yeah. So I think that's one thing that I had to like kind of get used to, because Strahinja is, I wouldn't say that I'm an introvert by any means, but he likes to host and likes to have, you know, people over. And so, but I feel like our Serbian friends are more like family now. We've known them for so long, and so it's always nice when they come over. And it's, you know, we go over their place too, so it's a back and forth, and the kids enjoy it, so it's always a good time.
So definitely, like, if you're planning to start some YouTube channel about like mixed families, you know, that would be so cool to watch, because you're both like really interesting. You have interesting personalities, and it would be nice to watch, especially like with your kids speaking Serbian. And it's like really strange when you see like African American kid, you know, with that strong genes, you know, saying imam 6 godina fluently, you know, like in Serbian. That's so cool. When we were preparing for this conversation, you mentioned that you guys met when he was like a ballet guy, right? So how was that for you?
I mean, I knew that this wasn't, like, this was just a job that he had right now. And obviously he was very young, so for me, it wasn't so much about how much money is he making, what is his current job. It was me looking at how hard does he work, and what are his goals, and what does he want to do, and what is he working towards. So for me, it was, I can see the potential, and I can see that, like, ultimately he wants to succeed, and he wants to do well, and he wants to be able to provide for his wife and family. So I was looking ahead. I saw the potential, and I said, I better snag this one before somebody else does. So that's what I did.
But you didn't like, that wasn't something that like determined him, actually, right? You know, it's not like
absolutely.
He was making like this amount of money or this amount of money, and that wasn't a reason for you not to spend some time with him and meet him like understand him better and more. That's really cool because like a lot of girls nowadays, you know, they don't like to date guys if they're not making this amount of money or that amount of money, you know, which is like, you know, like strange than what you guys did like 10 years ago. And also what I liked when he mentioned is that he's like super supportive, like for those periods when you were making more money or when you were like more successful at your career, he didn't have any like ego problems with that, you know. So that's like really nice. Tell me more from your point of view about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's an age difference, right? So that's one thing that I understood and he understood, like, hey, I'm not where I'm gonna be in 10 years from now. And I knew that I'm you know, have been in my career a lot longer, so obviously I'm gonna be making more money. And, you know, at the end of the day, it was, okay, we're still in this together. Like, it wasn't ever me supporting him or him supporting me. It was really just, let's figure this out and eventually we'll get to where we both want to be. And that's what we did.
But like, that was really nice sentence when he said that like, you went to a trip to Mexico because thanks to you and because of you, you know, pretty much. And he was like, I'm over there just thanks to my wife, you know, and I'm enjoying this trip. And he didn't need to have like some leader role in that or anything like that. He just like accepted his role in all of that. So that was cool. And tell me more about like roles in your household.
Yeah.
Is there like any leader, any followers, or how does that work?
We have our specific roles. I think we're, and it's all still very fluid. Like, I would never not take out the garbage, but like he mostly takes out the garbage, you know. He would never not cook, but I'm mostly the one that's cooking. Because I work from home, I do a lot more of like the household work, you know, in terms of laundry and things like that. But it was never like specific roles of, oh, I'm you know, not gonna, he would never be like, I'm not gonna clean dishes or I don't do this. You know, it was just, at the end of the day, it's like, how do we function and how do we make this household work? And it's picking up the slack for one or another whenever it's needed, and just being fluid in that. So there are things that we prefer to do. Like I'm not just going to be like, yeah, I'll go change that light bulb. I mean, obviously, I can, but I'm like, I'll wait for Tata. Tata will do it.
And would you rate it as like more traditional?
Yeah.
What do you think? What's the secret of your long-lasting marriage? Like Serbian people, they knock in the wood, you know, when they for luck. You know?
Yes, I do too. Yes. I think just being open and honest and communicating with your partner is so important, and talking about the serious things, the serious topics, right? And it's okay to disagree. It's okay to, you know, not always say, or just, you know, go against your beliefs, or just say, oh, it's fine, I'm just, whatever you want to do. It's like we just communicate so we can come to a common ground and really just make sure that we work through our issues and understand how we want to raise our kids and how we want to live and what's important and what's maybe less important. And it's ever changing, right? We're always evolving and growing and understanding each other more. And at the end of the day, I mean, we love each other, and we just want to make sure that we keep that love strong, and that's by that communication.
I like the way you said that, like those roles, that it's not something like firm and strict, but you know, it's like more like changeable and movable, and that's like really nice. Maybe that's like the secret, actually, that flexibility. Having like a more
absolutely,
people,
absolutely.
Like
I think a lot of times one thing that Strahinja always had like a really hard time with with me, and I've definitely changed, and I'm so much better now. But when we, first started dating and we were together, I was single for a very long time. I was very independent. I did, everything myself. So it took some getting used to for me to be able to be like, oh, you're going to do that for me, or you want to do that for me, or me just like sharing stuff, right? Like I was like, no, this is mine. This is mine. Like, this is how I've always done it. But I think when you're sharing your life with someone, you've got to be open, and you've got to be able to say, this is ours. So I was very much mine. I'm better with that now. But yes, just being, I don't know. I think we do a really good job of really trying to understand the point of view of the other person when we disagree. Because, sometimes we'll be very passionate about what our view is or how we feel about something, but we intentionally listen to the other person to be like, to really understand where they're coming from. So then we can take a step back and say, okay, maybe I could have said that differently, or maybe, that was not how I meant to say it or do. To like be able to talk about it, come to a solution of some sort, and then move forward and commit to doing better. Right? We're always committing to like being better and doing better for ourselves, for each other, for our family.
These were like good advice, so thank you for that. And Balkan girls and non-Balkan girls, this is how you need or should behave in order to meet and keep one really good Balkan guy. So thank you, Kia, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mina. Thank you for having me.
Volela bih jako da čujem vaš feedback i reakciju posle ovog videa, da čujem šta vi mislite ako ste u braku sa Balkancem ili ne, ako živite ovde u Americi ili na Balkanu, ako ste se pokajali zato što ste se udali za Balkanca ili vam je to želja. Baš me interesuje posle ove Kine priče šta vi mislite o tome. Naravno, bilo kakav komentar je dobrodošao. Like, share, subscribe i vidimo se za nekoliko dana ponovo.